They're so shameless. The Los Angeles mayor who was in one of those clips said he was holding his breath while he took that photo, this after being confronted about it. So don't question the science, folks. Join me now representing Kentucky's 4th District, Congressman Thomas Massie. Congressman, thank you so much for joining me. So, Congressman, I guess I'm happy to see that some of these Democratic governors are coming around when it comes to reversing these mandates, okay? But if you look at the science and the data, nothing's changed. And so all of their constituents should be really ticked off right now, because this just exposes what this has all been about.
It is. It's global warming and fast forward. At least with COVID, you get to see that they're lying to you within a few months instead of waiting for a century. And a few years ago, I added to my Twitter profile, political science denier, because it's not a science. Political science is not a science. I'm sorry if I'm offending anybody who's studying it right now. But Fauci and Leana Wen are purveyors of political science, as you well pointed out, and the polls have changed. Even some of my Democrat colleagues here in the House, like Ted Lieu, have started changing their tune because they know that the midterms are coming. They're even now acknowledging natural immunity. That used to be a right-wing conspiracy theory that would get you banned on social media if you would acknowledge that natural immunity existed and was in fact better than the vaccine immunity. But now they're coming around and I guess they're signing up for all these right-wing conspiracies.
Yeah, all of us were getting blocked on social media. We were being called conspiracy theorists, or we were being told that we're part of a death cult when we had questions about the effectiveness of a mask, when we push back against government mandates when it comes to vaccines, not because we're anti-vaxxers, but just because we don't want the government telling us what we need to put in our body. And so when I was listening to that clip of the CNN medical expert, she was talking about how, oh, well, masks are still effective, but, you can just wear your own mask and still be protected from those who aren't wearing a mask. But that's what we've been all saying since the beginning. Like, if you're that worried, you do what you want to do and let everyone else do what they want to do.
That's right, and that's what we pointed out about the vaccine. If the vaccine works and you want to take it, fine, protect yourself, but don't expect other people to be forced to take it if it's going to work for you. And that's the other thing that happened, Stephanie, is most of the people who were double vaxxed and boosted got COVID in the last 2 months. If they didn't already have it before, some of them got it the second time. And I think they're just tired. They know that everything they've done has been futile in terms of stopping the slow of the spread. And once you acknowledge that the vaccine and the mask isn't, and the lockdowns, which there's a study that came out to show that, that didn't work. Once you acknowledge that that doesn't slow the spread, then there's no impetus. There's no scientific or logical reason to have mandates. And so the mandates need to go away, not just for the masks, but for the vaccines, and they need to go away now. And the people who've done this to our children and to our elderly, an apology won't be enough. We need to have investigations, and I look forward to that when we get the majority here in the House.
Yeah, and I see what some of these Democrats and these so-called experts on TV, I see what they're doing here. They're like, oh, we're going to reverse on the mask mandates and everything else. They want us to forget that they're the ones who implemented all of these and put our country through pain for over 2 years now. And they're kind of trying to do what they did to the Republicans. That is, when it came to defund the police, all of a sudden the Democrats are like, we're never the ones who called for defunding the police. So they're trying to do a little switcheroo on us.
They are doing a switcheroo, and what makes it easier for them to do a switcheroo is there never was a vote in the House. This was all edicts from bureaucrats and from the president. There was never a vote. It bugs me to no end. I get on an airplane. Actually, I haven't been on one since July, and I'm not going to get on one until they get rid of their mask mandate. But when I used to get on airplanes, before I boycotted them for their stupid mask rules, there would be this announcement that federal law requires. And I would think, we've never voted on that, so it's not a federal law. What they're saying is that they claim they have the authority and that they are implementing their own rules. It's not a law. It's a mandate. It's an edict.
Yeah. Now, I wanted to shift gears here and get your reaction to this. We heard from McConnell yesterday, and he was talking about how January 6th was, in fact, a violent insurrection. Let's take a look. Roll tape.
Well, let me give you my view of what happened January the 6th. And we're here. We saw what happened. It was a violent insurrection for the purpose of trying to prevent the peaceful transfer of power after a legitimately certified election from one administration to the next. That's what it was. With regard to the suggestion that the RNC should be in the business of picking and choosing Republicans who ought to be supported, traditionally the view of the national party committees is that we support all members of our party, regardless of their positions on some issues.
Do you have confidence in her, Ronna McDaniel, as chairwoman of the committee?
I do, but the issue is whether or not the RNC should be sort of singling out members of our party who may have different views from the majority. That's not the job of the RNC.
It's so infuriating to hear him say that. It's so dishonest. You can call out those who committed crimes on January 6th, and all of them have been punished or will be punished. But for him to come out and say it was an insurrection when clearly it wasn't, I mean, he's just caving to the mob and to the left and the mainstream media. We need fighters in office when it comes to the Republican Party. I mean, this is just another example of a spineless Republican, in my opinion.
Yeah, we should not be adopting the language of the left, and that's the language of the left. In fact, I was one of the few members here in the House of Representatives who refused to vote for the gold medal for the Capitol Hill Police. Not because I didn't believe many of them acted with merit and valor, but because the language in it called the people on that day insurrectionists. And I said, if we use that language here in Congress, those folks have pending court cases. That gives the imprimatur of the federal government, you know, that our words are calling them insurrectionists. That might be submitted in court and used to prosecute innocent protesters who did nothing. And so I don't think we should adopt the language of the left.
No, definitely not. And then also, too, just following with everything that's been going on and those who are being punished, we want to make sure that the crime or that the punishment fits the crime. And in some of these cases, it's not. Well, Congressman, we're going to leave it here. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me on, Stephanie.
Of course.